Hi, hello, how are you? How we doing? Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to be talking to some real people about some real things, living real lives, doing real stuff. This is the Working Perspectives Podcast. As always, I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied by my editor and producer, Tom Byers. Our guest today is a car porter for a dealership, Jeff Podcasy, also known as Polatski. Before we get to our guest, though, I'd like to say that you can follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can join us on Twitter at Working P Pod. And if you would like to be a guest on the show, email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com and we'll put you through the approval process. Before we get to this guest, I would just like to have our guest expert, Bern Podcasy, give us a synopsis of what to expect from our guest this week. Bern, take it away.
Some fun facts about Polatski. He was born with at least a dozen extra teeth. He once turned down $150 cash money just to eat a steamed clam. And last year, he almost cut his hands off with an electric hedge trimmer.
All right, thanks, Bern. Those are some fun facts from Jeff Podcasy, a.k.a. Polatski. Bern, can't wait to have you back on. All right, let's get the show started. All right, Shake, let me tell you about this guy.
Yes, sir.
This guy's a good one. All right, so Shake, you're a younger brother. I'm a younger brother. We're younger brothers, right?
Hard carrying.
Hard carrying. So there's a difference, though, when you run into the baby of the family. Now, I know that you had that moniker for quite some time until it was taken away from you. But sometimes you can run into the baby of the family and they can be quite a snood. Not in this case. This guy's one of the good ones. All right. I met him a number of years ago, and one of the first things he ever said to me was, "Fair enough." Fair enough. kind of generalizes him in a sense. Fair enough. Fair enough. He's an excellent fantasy football player. He survived being the youngest of three boys. Life hasn't been easy for him. And he was able to get approved to be on this podcast, which not everybody does.
No guarantee.
No guarantee. Talk to Cheryl at the PAAA. All right. She let this guy through. That means he's Class A. So real quick, I saw Polatski coming up through the ropes, and I saw him raise him, kind of took him under my wing and treated him as one of my own, and really happy to see the stunning gentleman he turned into today. And, you know, there's sometimes when I feel when you hit an age and you got to step the hell up, right? And when it's your turn to step the hell up, you got to step the hell up. So number of years ago, a situation occurred in his family's household where they needed a man to step the hell up to help out. And he stepped the hell up and he helped out. And he was a man then. And he did a man thing and made a man decision, right? So he went from being the boy, the youngest, to being one of the men, part of the crew. He was already there, but this just solidified it.
Yeah,
There's no
trial
more
by fire.
There's no more little brother shit after this. So I know that was a quicker one than everyone's used to, but I'm just excited to get this guy on. So, Jeff, I know everything's going great. Oh, and he's called Polatski. All right. So you're just going to hear me call him Polatski. But Jeff, I know everything's going great. You're doing great. Thanks for coming on. Before we get everything started, have you seen the movie Bohemian Rhapsody? And if yes, what do you think of that piece of shit movie?
Absolutely not. And based off of what I've heard on this podcast thus far, I'm not going to. I've heard all I needed to hear.
Goddamn right you're not. You're goddamn right you're not.
No.
Oh, come on.
All right.
Nope.
No.
You got to give it a
he
shot.
Doesn't like trash. He gets enough smut on the internet. He doesn't need to see that garbage.
Whoa.
Right? Movie was a travesty. A travesty.
It's considered the greatest story ever told.
Wow. Real nice. I'm sure William Wallace has a thing or two to say about that. All right, pal. So Polatski was born and raised in 40 Fort, PA, and he did K through 12 for Catholic school all the way through the shebang. Now, I know for me, I was the third of my family to go through Catholic school. So that my sister had already gone before me, and so did my older brother, asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And there was kind of like a, preconceived notion of how, what of the Lavelle kids would behave. And I don't know where they got that from. It was kind of an unfair stigma. But Polatski, did you face any of that, having, old tall drink of water burn and shit eating grin Mike coming through the Catholic school before you?
Absolutely. The expectations for me were a little bit lower though. Mike was a state champion in basketball. All conference goalie in soccer. President of his class, homecoming team. So no one really expected me to keep up with that, which I really enjoyed, actually.
Golly, enough to make you vomit. That's disgusting. Jesus Christ. State champion, all conference, basketball, soccer, prom king, homecoming king, shit-eating grin. My God. My God.
The nerve.
Yeah. The
nerve of that guy.
Jesus. And he had a great best friend in the Big Thrill, Nick Gill, friend of the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did that guy
best man in the
world? Did that guy not hit a fucking home run? Jesus Christ. So, okay. So you did K through 12. So I know this, right? Well, then you, after that, you did East Stroudsburg, kicked around a couple coffees at a couple community colleges. But while you were in school, you had a couple sports you did. Now, people on air can't really see him, but he's a tall drink of water, this kid. They call him the Iron String, right? So he was a swimmer, played a little soccer, did a little footy football. But tell me, how'd you do with swimming? When did you start swimming, Polatski?
I started swimming my sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the year, just because I couldn't get on a soccer team, an indoor soccer team for the winter.
Oh.
So I thought it'd be a great way to keep in shape. And I mean, honestly, I was in the best shape of my life at that point.
Really?
Oh yeah. We would go and we'd lift an hour before going to practice. And when you got to practice, a down and back is 50.
Uh-huh.
And we would start out with a warm up of 5,000. Yeah.
So what? Do the math. What is that? Fucking 50 laughs or something?
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
Jesus, shit on my face. Get the hell out of here.
Oh yeah.
No way. No way.
Yeah,
Man,
and
fucking tag, I'm out. No
being
way.
a member of the football team, I always was super jealous of the swimmers that would come up to the gym and they would pop in, like you said, Polatski, pop in for a little bit, do a quick lift, and then get out of there and take care of other, practice. But also, by the way, have like 0% body fat. And when you get older, you have a lean body. Whereas football players, when they finish up, if you're a veteran football player like me that just finishes in high school, it's kind of it's a downhill slope. You're short, you gain a little, all that muscle turns into fat. But these swimmers, that body's for life, man. That's, they get to keep that lean body going for a long time.
Shake's being modest, Polatski. He was one of those Mikes. Captain of the football team, dated the cheerleader, prom king, homecoming.
Matt does this every episode. This is
okay. So that's what we're dealing with here. All right, let's go, Shake.
Yeah. So,
but let me ask you this question. Sorry, Matt, to interrupt, but I have to ask because there was one thing that tied the swimmers and the wrestlers, and Matt has a lot of wrestling stories. One thing that ties them together, and it's the weirdest thing in the world, and it's the bleached hair. I want to know, did the swimmers in your school bleach their hair?
No, they didn't. Our school was so small that that was the first year that we actually had a swimming program.
Oh shit. Did you have to swim at like a neighboring high school?
We would go swimming at the CYC, the local CYC.
Okay. Is that like a youth center, I guess?
Yeah, the Catholic Youth Center.
I see. So, okay. So I know another thing that tied wrestlers at our school together. I guess the swimming place is called a natatorium, right? Big word. No big deal. So the natatorium at our school was always really hot because it was heated. It was always really hot. So we had like a relationship with the swim coaches. Like sometimes for wrestling practice, we wouldn't go to practice. We would have to go to the natatorium and run the bleachers at the because like we had a really big swimming team at our high school, and they had like bleachers built into the natatorium. So we would have to go to the natatorium and run there to cut weight. And we'd run there for a whole practice. And not only were these son of a bitch bastard swimmers, able to do whatever, but they were also fucking able to eat whatever they wanted. And we're told to eat a lot because they were burning all these calories. So I remember one time I'm running for a whole practice, and like this kid trying to be a smart ass is like, I haven't eaten in days. And he's eating a hot dog and looking at me like, ooh, this is so delicious. And I was like, how about, what else is delicious? My foot in your face. Bam. And even the swimming coach was like, yeah, you're an asshole. Leave the fucking guy alone. He's miserable. I was like, you're right. I am miserable. And I'm like, hold on. It's terrible. Leave me alone. But yeah,
leave this poor miserable kid alone.
Yeah. So we had, the way we used to cut weight back in the day was almost criminal. But yeah, we had like a relationship with the swim team. They were a bunch of goofballs too, just like us. We were goofballs. But yeah, they also too, I know at our school, like they did morning practice, which I always respected, because they would do morning practice before school and then have practice after school. And we did the same thing. And they were one of the few teams that did that. So I always respected that. If you're willing to wake up and put in the hours, get in the hard hours in the pool, But so from what I understand about swimming, the kickboard is your best friend at the beginning. Is that some truth behind that, Polatski? Tell me about
it. Yeah, I would have to say so. I mean, it just made it so much easier to use the kickboard. It built up your legs, which I was looking for soccer, but it was just easy, man. Like, you would go and do 30 laps with the kickboard. You're not really thinking about it. You're just doing it.
Yeah. Kind of a relaxing thing too, right? You're just doing the water up and back, up and back.
Yep, easy.
So what's going on with the kickboard? Isn't that I thought that was from when you're learning to swim. Is that what you're referring to? Or
imagine you're training your legs. Really, your legs are like your jet propulsion, right? I feel like your arms move differently and your core, I guess, but your legs they're cooking no matter what the whole time, right? So it's like,
right,
you got to get your legs ready to cook for 50 laps or whatever. Let's do a quick 5,000, huh, guys? Quick 50,000. You can do it. So you got to get your legs ready to cook like that. So maybe I feel like the thing is just practice going in a straight line, kind of, right? Is that the idea, Polatski?
Yeah, and with the kickboard, you would still do the flip turn at the end. You would have to take it underneath.
Nice.
That was the easy part. The miserable part was there was a small float that looked like a figure 8.
Yeah.
That when you weren't using the kickboard, you had to put between your thighs. So you weren't actually able to kick. It was just arms.
Oh, shit on my face. That's the worst.
And that was goddamn miserable.
Oh, that sounds like the worst thing going. That's brutal. Brutal. I wonder if too, that is awful. I don't know. To me, so here's a funny story. All right. So Rocky Marciano, you ever heard of him? You know him, you love him.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So Rocky Marciano, what he used to do to train, and this was kind of way ahead of his time, is that he would go to a pool, and the pool would be I guess a little over 5 feet deep or whatever it is. He would stand in it so that just his chin and head were above the water, and he would walk up and down the pool throwing hooks under the water, right? And he'd do hundreds of laps up and back of just throwing hooks under the water and building that muscle resistance from punching underwater. And it was they say that his punches is one of the hardest punches ever. So, I don't know. I always wanted to get a pool and maybe just do a couple laps punching.
Is this a public pool he was in?
Well, I'm assuming it was probably public at the beginning, but then when he became like, the biggest boxer in the world, I'm assuming he was like, yeah, I can rent a pool.
What years do you think he was active, if you had to guess?
Gosh. Well, I'm trying to think. So he was, I think his heyday might have been in the 60s. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think he would have been, through the 60s, because
I'm just wondering if this guy is in the standard Santa Claus, like full one-piece bathing suit. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, he's definitely not in that. I'm pretty sure it's just shorts and nothing else, because it was post World War II. So he was, because he had been
50s
after
or 60s.
Yeah, so he was after Joe Louis, because he had knocked out Joe Louis. But Joe Louis was at like the end of his career, and Joe Louis had beaten Max Schmeling, and Max Schmeling,
Can you imagine being like a mother, like you bring your 2 young kids to the pool, tell them to behave, and oh, by the way, stay away from that weird statue guy that is slowly walking up and down the pool swinging at people,
I would love to see like later in his career, right? Like Marciano, just like imagine if you go to like the Y and like you're one of those nerd, like those dweeb kids that would go to like swim and whatever. And you just every day would see this like 70-year-old man just walking up and back the pool, just walking up and back, throwing stuff, like throwing whatever under the water. You're like, who is this creepy weirdo just walking up and down? Doesn't he know that you swim in the pool? I don't know. But yeah.
He's either one of the best boxers of all time or a crazy.
Yeah, or both.
Or both. One. Yeah, either way, for sure. So, all right. So you did some swimming. Not gonna lie, swimming to me, I mean, I don't know. Swimming is a hell of a sport, and you have to be in some serious shape. I dated a couple swimmers in my day, no big deal. And they that's a serious sport, being able to swim. Like you have to be a real athlete to do that. So, but then also it's like, you're a swimmer, so you got to do that. One of the things, here's one of the things that I think swimming and wrestling shared a common thing is that we both got made fun of a lot for your athletic attire, right? So like obviously swimming, you're going to get eaten alive with a Speedo. You know what I mean? And I'm sure Polatski, you're a strapping young man. I'm sure you had nothing to worry about in a Speedo, you good looking son of a bitch. But
oh no.
Yeah. But then, when you have some body conscious people getting in a singlet, a one piece singlet, like Shake was just talking about, the old swimsuits, and rolling around on the floor with some other fellas, right? That's when you hear, oh, look at those guys over there, So I always feel like the swim team and the wrestling team had a common bond and people making fun of our attire. So either way, so let's move on a little bit. So you did swimming, but you also did soccer. Now, can you, I heard something of an incident maybe with the soccer team, Polatski, maybe? No? Yes? Are you allowed to expand on this?
I'm not sure which incident you might have heard of. There are several.
Well, the one I was referring to is when a coach lost his temper a little bit at you for quitting the team. Maybe that was a swimming coach.
Oh no, that was a swimming coach.
Yeah, they're nuts. They're all nuts. Every swimming coach.
Yeah. Well, I mostly swam once again to stay in shape for soccer, and I was getting better at swimming. And I was able to eventually get on an indoor soccer team. So I said, I'm done with swimming. And this guy put me up against a wall in the locker room and was just like way overly passionate about it. He was like, I think you have.
Your coach put you up against the wall in the locker room when you told him you were going to quit the swim team?
Yeah.
You must have looked so goddamn good in a Speedo. Jesus Christ. No wonder he's upset. He's losing his best looking kid.
This guy just kept looking up and just being like, I think you have a future in this. And he was just way over the top.
What if he was right, Polatski? What if right now you could be, smoking some weed with Michael Phelps? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if this guy was fucking right and you missed it?
I have the road not taken. Sure.
I mean, like, you have to imagine, if you're willing to jack up a kid against the wall because he's quitting the swim team, you must really believe that this kid's your ticket out. You know, like, God damn it, I had plans to take this kid all the way to the top, and now, I mean,
this guy doesn't seem to have much going on in his life. So I don't know what the fuck is going on there. But
Northeastern PA, there's some people up there. My old man is a descendant of coal miners up there in Northeastern PA, and well, it's a special breed up there. Special breed. Do you have a message or a story inside of you that you've been waiting to tell? Have you always dreamed of writing a book, but are intimidated by the complexities of the book publishing world? Perhaps you want to use a book to launch your public speaking or consulting career. If so, please reach out to Scott and Bell Publishing, located right here in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Scott and Bell Publishing handle all genres and authors with all experience levels. Scott and Bell Publishing gives authors 100% creative freedom and a higher royalty split. They can be found at www.skotbell.com. That's www.s as in Sam, K as in Kite, O as in October, T as in Tom, B as in Boy, E as in Edward, L as in Larry, L as in Larry.com. That's Scott and Bell Publishing, where the authors go. So you get jacked up by the swim coach because he saw that you were the next Greg Louganis, and then you told him to shove off, and you got done with some swimming, and you never were like lying about this. You told him, like, look, I'm doing this to stay in shape, so when I play soccer again, I'm not a freaking wet noodle, no pun intended. So he knew this was coming the whole time, right? He just was refusing to admit it. So that's his fault. But okay, so you're done with swimming. You tell the coach to go put an egg in his shoe and beat it, and so you're back with the soccer team, right? So how was soccer? When did you start playing soccer?
I started playing soccer. Well, I mean, I started playing like intramural when I was a kid for the 40 Fort Pioneers,
like the T-shirt league gimmick.
Yeah. And then I continued playing all the way through high school. I played travel, high school as well, and
nice.
Yeah, that illustrious career ended there.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, right? Soccer players, to me at least, it was always like the unattainable thing. So I was born in California, right? And in California, soccer is king, obviously. Right. So, it's going to be. So soccer was king. So soccer was really big over there. So everybody played soccer. Then I came over here and wanted to play soccer as well. But my sister was on the travel team. My brother was on the travel team. I always tried out and never made the travel team. Right. So I always wanted to be on the travel team, but could never do it. So those kids that played travel soccer was like, God, you're so cool, but I was one of them. But, I always thought, man, I wish I could. But then I played football, and I was like, oh, soccer's for the birds. But for a number of years there, I wanted to be a travel soccer player. How did you like being a travel soccer player? And was your team any good? And, go ahead.
Loved playing travel. I played with a bunch of friends from school. And it was funny the way the valley is broken up. Everybody that was on our travel soccer team were at different schools for high school. So I knew everybody. I knew a kid on every other team that we had come together and played travel for.
No shit.
It was good. We were good, man. The Back Mountain Blues. I don't think they exist anymore. I think they're disbanded.
What a name!
Yeah.
What a name! The Back Mountain Blues? Oh.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Damn.
Sounds like a Disney Channel movie or something about a soccer team, like the Big Green, but maybe it's like a sequel.
Well, our insignia was just like a music note, so the blues, whatever. But yeah, we were good, man. We were good. We dominated the Gettysburg tournament a few years running.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a big one. I know my brother played it at Gettysburg. That's a huge tournament. That's a big, like, statewide tournament. Well, plus two, I guess, because you said Mike's team would end up winning a state championship in soccer. So I guess, like, you know, soccer is a big deal if you guys are winning like that. So, I mean, like, you know, you probably you're only, 2 years younger than Mike?
Yeah, well, Mike actually ended up winning a state championship in basketball.
Oh,
But yeah, no, that's where we screwed up. He was a state championship in basketball. He was also all conference in soccer.
Oh.
So you know.
Oh, big swinging dick, shit-eating grin Mike. You know what? He can take that soccer ball and basketball. He can shove it, all right?
The soccer of the hands.
His homecoming king crown, and he can wear it where the sun don't shine, all right? Golly, that kid didn't have enough going for him. You know, he also has beautiful curly hazel locks as well. I've seen them, right?
Ooh.
This kid got everything. Lucky bastard. God.
In soccer, me and Mike's team actually went farthest in school history, beating out my oldest brother who set that record previously. So that's a nice feather in our cap.
There you go. Wait, so went furthest in, like, postseason for the school, like state tournament?
Yeah. For Bishop O'Reilly, we went furthest in states that our school had ever gone. Previously beating Bern. So we hold that against them all the time.
That's how you do it, Polatski. That's how you do it. Fucking love that. I fucking love that. Good. That's how it should be. You know what I'm saying? Good. Screw it.
Before we go further, can we establish the nickname Polatski and where that came about?
Yes, let's do it. Please, Polatski.
Yeah, give us the lowdown on this name.
Sure. Prior to that, I was my brother Mike's nickname is Pod. So I was either just Pod's younger brother or Little Pod, and it came out of nowhere. One night I was home, and my parents called, and they said, "Hey, we're coming home from Uncle Mike's house. We'll be back in like 20 minutes." I said, "Okay, that's fine." My brother Mike stumbles in the door. And I look at him and I say, "Hey, Mike, Mom and Dad just called. You got to go upstairs and go to bed. They'll be home in like 20 minutes." And he just simply looked up at me and just said, "Fuck you, Polatski." And I looked at him and I said, "What are you doing? Get upstairs now." And he said it again. And I just looked at him. I said, "Who the fuck is Polatski?" And he just said, "You're Polatski." Polatski. So I'm sitting there arguing with him to get upstairs before my parents come in and kick his dick in. And I eventually get him upstairs. And the following morning, he wakes up and I was like, "What happened last night, man? Like, who is Polatski?" And he just kind of like looked around and just looked at me. He's like, "You're Polatski." And it just stuck from there.
God damn, I love it. God damn, did you two share a room?
No, we didn't. Thank God. We would have probably killed each other.
Yeah. Shake. I was a room sharer. Shake, you shared a room, right? Obviously.
Shared them all. I shared a room with like every sibling except for my sister.
Shake is one of 6.
Are you the youngest of 6?
So I was the youngest for 12 years. And then my little brother was born. So we have my siblings. The oldest was born in 1980 and the youngest was born in 2000. So that's and then everybody else was born in between, obviously, because that's how that
20
works.
20 years of family fun. How about it?
Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, the old room shuffle. That was always a good time.
Yeah, I never had my own room. I shared with Alex, and then I shared with Tom, and then eventually me, Alex, and Tom lived in the same room, and it was just we had 3 mattresses on the floor, and that's where you slept. Yeah.
Is that why Tom's not allowed on the podcast?
So first off, his name's Asshole, and it's not that he's not allowed on the podcast. He's not approved. I'd have nothing. People think that this is a sham. I have nothing to do with the approval process. It's all the PAAA. You had to go through the PAAA. Byrne had to go through the PAAA. everyone has to go through the PAAA. And I don't know, like, it's not my fault that they're not approving him. It's the Podcast Approval Association of America. Maybe if we go international, the International PAA or whatever it is, maybe they'll approve him if we go international. But right now, we're America and we're proud and we're not going anywhere. Okay. So
I think people are wondering if you're actually doing everything you can, or if you're just happily letting this block happen.
Oh my! I was on the phone with Cheryl from the PAAA for 2 hours the other day. She wanted to clear Voldemort, who's not even a real person. She was going to clear Voldemort, but this jabroni Joe Tom Lavelle, whoever the hell he is, he keeps begging to come on. He's probably sent us 100 emails. He tries to text us and call us to come on. And hey, man, we're doing our best, but
do they know? Do they know what kind of screen? Like, do we know what kind of screening they do, or what kind of background checks? Because, I mean, for what I know, your brother doesn't have anything that really would prevent him from getting on. There must be some skeletons in the closet, I guess, is what I'm getting at, or somebody clandestinely is preventing him from getting on. Is I guess that's what I'm saying.
So the first requirement is that you have to bleed red, white, and blue like a goddamn American. All right. That's requirement number 1. We love America on this podcast. And then number 2, you can't be a scumbag asshole. So maybe that's where the skeleton is. I don't know. I don't have access to his closet. Cheryl does. And apparently she found plenty of skeletons.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, also, I think, I don't know. I haven't checked the PAAA bylaws, but I think there's a 1 Tom limit per podcast. You can't have a 2 Tom cast. No one wants a 2 Tom cast. I don't want a 2 Tom cast. If you have a 2 Tom cast, what are we even doing here? Like, why don't we just go to East Jabip? This is America. This is America's podcast. Red, white, and blue.
Okay. You've shrouded yourself in patriotism here, and I'm just telling you, I think the listeners are going to see this as you kind of diverting away from really facing what is the issue at hand here. And it's like a festering pimple. Like people realize this is getting a little out of hand, and at some point you're going to have to face this. I think that's on here.
Tell the people to contact Cheryl at the PAAA. Okay? Because do you want the PAAA breathing down our neck shake? Okay, we have enough going on.
No, I mean, the one time that when we thought an audit was coming down, that we really had to scramble. That was going to be real bad.
Sure was, buddy. Sure was. Now imagine if it was Cheryl, right? You know, maybe there's a story. I don't know. Maybe not. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's a message or something. People want to get to Cheryl. They can hit up the PAAA and get to Cheryl. But as of now, my hands are tied, and it's not like I haven't been trying. Okay, there's a bunch of people that weren't approved last week, like Tom, Dick, and Harry, and Tom and Jerry, and Thomas's English Muffins. They would have been a great get. I would love to talk to the Thomas who made Thomas's English Muffins. Okay,
what about Tom Arnold?
I could do without Tom Arnold. I could do without Tom Arnold. First thing I would ask Tom Arnold. Actually, I wouldn't. Forget it. I'm not going to ask. It's too. We have people that listen to this podcast. I'm not.
I had no idea where you're going with that, LaBelle.
Okay, fans, now for a little break in the action, we're going to introduce a new segment to the show. This is The Date You Hate with our good friend Wolfgang Bach. Wolfgang, what's the date and what do you hate?
The date is October 16th, 1895. So I show up for work today, and all the damn apples are picked. I mean, what the hell am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to pick all these apples all damn day long, and they're all gone. Who the hell comes in here and picks apples at night? That's the date, and that's what I hate.
All right, that was The Date You Hate with our good friend Wolfgang Bach. Now, back to the show. All right, so, anyway, Polatski, I believe when we spoke earlier, you had an interest in someone else's nickname and where that originated from. Is that correct?
Yeah, Shake. I'm very interested at this point. I haven't heard anything on the podcast yet to indicate where you got your nickname from.
We've been calling him Shake the whole time, and not one of these selfish bastards that we've had as a guest has bothered to ask Shake where he got his nickname. Shake, do you want me to tell, or do you want to give the goods?
Why don't I tell? Because I'm used to dealing with selfish people. But okay.
Wow.
No, and
shots fired. Shots fucking fired, Shake. Jesus Christ.
It's interesting because the Sixers currently have a player named Shake Milton on their team. And recently the broadcaster told the story of how he got his nickname. So there's more than one Shake out there. But here's how I got my nickname. There was a milk ad, like the Got Milk ads back in the 90s, if you guys remember them. And Got Milk, the brand really went hard on their advertising and kind of making it more aimed towards a younger demographic. They wanted kids to drink their milk. And there was a commercial in the 90s that was set at a basketball court, like an outdoor basketball court with a fence and a bunch of dudes playing basketball. And all of a sudden, this giant milk carton walks up. And it's like a dude in a paper milk carton, but he's got his face sticking out of it.
Whoa, what's up? Oh, that's a miss. That's lame.
And he's talking trash, like at a basketball court. He's talking trash on the basketball players and basically implying that they're all weaklings because they don't drink their milk.
Sports drinks, colas, like that's working up there? But you get something good. Vitamin D. You want the D, you need me. Who's got some milk? Milk. Oh, right there. Basket's that way, Chief. Yeah.
And that's the whole ad campaign is drink your milk, otherwise you'll be weak. And he's with a little bit of an entourage. So his entourage that he rolls up with is like a stick of broccoli, maybe like the ketchup bottle or something is with them. And
I think I remember this.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll post it on our Twitter page because I actually found it recently just to verify that it exists. And so one of the people that rolls up with them in like a costume is a milkshake, like a Slim Fast, like a pre-bought milkshake that's in a little plastic bottle.
They had schools.
Yeah, exactly. And so the main character is the big milk carton, and he has a whole entourage of things with him. And he's talking trash and saying, like, you guys are weak because you don't have milk. And at the very end, he says a phrase.
When you guys are done denying, your beverage problem, give me a call. I'll be in the fridge. Come on, Shake.
And he turns around and he says, "Come on, Shake." And he walks away. And he was referring to the little milkshake that was like his sidekick. And for that few month period, it was kind of a known thing. Like that commercial was very popular for those couple of months that it was on. And throughout my childhood, I was always like a sidekick because I had a lot of older brothers and a lot of friends of older brothers. And we were all kind of like a big crew. And it became a thing for them to, be hanging out and use the phrase, "Come on, Shake," telling me to join them or to, leave the spot we were at to go to another spot. So hence my name became Shake, and it's kind of lasted probably too long because nobody even remembers that anymore. So that, only a few lucky people remember that reference. So there it is.
Shake's being modest as well. Again, he's being modest. Common theme with Shake. But Shake is 3 years younger than me, and he has two older brothers that I'm sandwiched in between in age. His older brother Kevin's a year younger than me, and his older brother Anthony is a year older than me, right? But Shake was a good enough athlete that he could hang with us. So when we were playing football or whatever, baseball or whatever, boxing or whatever, Shake was there because he could hang. If you were a younger kid and you couldn't hang, we didn't bother with you because there was no point. So good enough athlete that he could stick around. His big but he doesn't like to admit that he's a stud athlete, captain of the football team, dated the cheerleader.
You really need to cut this out, man. The thing is I don't associate it with like athleticism at all. Like what I really remember is us being at the St. Stan's Fair. We all, from our neighborhood, if you grew up where we grew up, the St. Stan's Fair was like the parish fair at the end of the summer. And it was always packed with people. It was a big deal, which is hard to think about now with COVID and everything. Imagine like just being loaded into like a parking lot with hundreds of people. But that's where I remember the use of the term shake would be, my brothers and their older friends would be hanging out at the fair. And I specifically remember one time when a buddy named Miller, and that was a nickname of his. It's not his real name. His name was Miller. I remember him like jokingly hitting on girls at the fair. And then when it inevitably didn't work, surprise, surprise, didn't work, he would turn to me and say, "Come on, shake." And we would walk away. And that was the point of it. Like that's what I remember the nickname kind of being. I don't remember it being anything attached with athleticism in any way. I think Matt is just trying to put down his own little brother, a little side-handed put down on his own little brother.
My little brother wasn't interested in athletics. We all know that. We were playing. If we were gonna play Xena Warrior Princess, he was all in, but not in athletics. True story. Had a chakram. Tell you about it. He'll be on the show. Tell us about it. So, all right. So, Polatski, let's move on to. We'll do one more sports thing. Football. You were doing a little footy football action there, huh?
Well, I mean, that's kind of an asterisk on my sports career due to the fact that our football team was so bad that, going to Catholic school, we had to do community hours each semester, so like 20 community hours. Our football team was so horrendously bad that if you joined the football team, that counted as your community service.
Jesus.
Wow.
Man. You must have been doing a service. Jeez, Pete. Could you imagine shake? Jesus.
I can't fathom that. That's insane.
Well, for example, they played a Canadian football team who drove to the United States, played American football for the first time ever, and we lost. So just to give you some context of how bad this team was. So anyway, I thought to myself, hey, I can go out for the football team as a kicker because I played soccer and get my community hours. And my best friend was like the best guy on the team.
Yeah.
So I go out to the tryout, and I should put tryout in quotations. I showed up, I kicked a few balls. They said I was on the team.
Nice.
They made me a jersey with my name on the back. And then I found out that my buddy told me that they were going to have me kick for them, but then they were going to have me play wide receiver and cornerback.
That's awesome.
And I weighed 120 pounds soaking wet at the time, so I would have been killed.
Yeah.
So I actually never played in a football game, but I do have my jersey with my name on the back.
Oof. That's what you want anyway.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Do you still have it?
Oh, yeah.
Did you get names on your jersey, Shake, when you played, or no?
When you finish your senior year, they put your name on the back, and then like senior night, and then the banquet afterwards, they give it to you. They give you your jersey.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And at North Penn, they would switch people's numbers a lot. Like if you were a like the superstar of the team that everybody's scouting against, they especially with scrimmages in the beginning of the season, they would switch your numbers so that teams couldn't go in saying, "Hey, look out for number 20." Number 20 might be wearing number 35 or something, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
A little deceptive. I get it.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
Strategy. All right. Nice. Okay. So, hey, who was your friend that was the best player on the team? Was it Kev Scott?
No. It was my buddy Stewie.
I don't know if I ever met Stewie.
I think you might have a few times. He was a tall drink of water. He just really in shape, like
S?
6'2". Yeah, you met Stewie.
Oh, S? You mean S?
No, not S. I mean S is a tall drink of water, but
S is
not S McCormick.
All right. Love S. Okay, so let's move on. So let's get into why we're here, the nitty-gritty of your job stuff. So job history. So your first job, your mom had 3 sons that went to a Catholic school. She was very involved. So eventually they were just like, hey, you want to take over some stuff? And she was like, yeah, sure, I'm the best. So she got you a gig working as a janitor at your Catholic grade school during the summer. Was that the first gig?
Yes.
Nice. Seems like a nice little summer gig. What were the hours?
I worked. I would get there at like 9 o'clock in the morning, work until 1. I mostly mowed grass, pulled weeds, and the one thing that followed me through the rest of school was I had to scrub the desks.
Oof.
You know, kids who are artistic are going to draw on the desks and everything like that. I remember being in high school and people drawing on the desk, and I would just look at them and be like, someone has to scrub that off, right? With hard work and perseverance, they have to scrub.
This is the school that you went to as a child?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there any? That'd be cool if you saw something on there that you had written as like a little kid. That would really tie it together.
Yeah. It would, but Shake, I would never.
You have too much respect.
I would never defend property like that.
Sounds kind of guilty.
I mean, honestly, I could see Polatski being like, you son of a bitch. You don't know how much that scrubs away at my soul every time I have to watch Boys to Men off of the back of this desk. You bastard. Man. I remember that. I remember when you would get a book handed down to you from the year before, like a textbook. Oh my God. They're littered with junk in there. Jesus.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wonder if you can even do that now with because everything's tablets. So how do you graffiti a tab? I mean, obviously you can scratch something onto the tablet, but there's nothing you could put into the tablet that would pop up saying West Side Sliders, woo woo woo, or something I don't know. But
you gotta leave a comment.
Yeah, I guess you could. All right. Yeah. So, all right, let's keep it shaking. So you did that job from, I guess, middle school all the way through high school. And then as a senior in high school, you got a job as a starter at a golf course.
Yeah.
Please.
That was a great gig. I had to be up there at 6 o'clock in the morning to open up the clubhouse.
Yep.
I would set up the carts and everything along those lines, clean them out, wash them down. Yeah. And then I just sat outside and made sure that there was a good interval between everybody going out so they weren't on top of each other.
Mm-hmm. Was this the kind of golf course where so I've been to golf courses before where they're like, look, you can't have your hat backwards. You can't your shirt has to be tucked in. You can't look like, some hood out there. You need to look respectable or whatever. Was this that kind of spot, or are you just letting guys out there in wife beaters and jeans smoking Camels, doing their thing?
Oh, yeah, no, it was the latter. It was a local municipal golf course, and the 2 guys I worked with were both in their 70s. The one guy was this tall guy. He had glasses. He was kind of like a quiet guy. The other guy was just a small, bowling ball of a man. And he lived right off the golf course. And he would walk up every day. He was the kind of guy that always chewed on his cigars. He's always had a cigar in his mouth, whether he was smoking it or not. So, yeah, no, it was pretty lax up there.
Yeah, I could tell. Eesh. But it was a good gig. You so the golf carts, they all have to be charged, right? Is that how they work, or what's going on?
No, there's an actual battery in them, like a car battery in them. Oh. So they ran until they didn't. It was just pretty easy. I just had to line them up, like make sure they were swept out, make sure everything was cleaned out. I got to sit outside, and also I got to golf for free after I was done for the day.
You get into golfing a little bit? How you doing there? I suck at golfing. Everyone knows by now that my big move is the chapstick. You put a little chapstick on the head of your club and you're never going to slice. That's what makes me an ace. But how are you at the gaffing? How are you at swinging the shillelaghs?
Well, I'm going to need some chapstick. That's for sure. I was okay at one point. And by okay, I mean that very, very laxly. When I was working up there, I was able to play every day.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing about golf. You have to continue to go out. The last few years, I just haven't had the time, and I'm just horrendous at it. One of your other guests, Nick Gill, is a phenomenal golfer. I don't want to slow him down. So,
and a phenomenal person.
Yeah, he's all right.
So here's my question regarding the golf course and specifically being a starter. And I've always wondered this. And it kind of goes for like every job of that kind of ilk, where it's your job to be the gatekeeper of something. What is your threshold if someone just walks on and tries to like bully their way into it? You know what I mean? Like, I've had jobs where I've thought to myself, like, if someone just shows up and walks through, I'm not going to stop them. I don't feel like it. I don't get paid enough to like, match, strength with someone over getting through here or something. Was that ever a case for you?
You mean like someone like coming on the play without paying shake? Like just being like, look, I'm just going to play a quick 9 and you want to stop me, call the cops.
Absolutely. Because in the course that I played some golf back in the day, and the course that I went to always had this like militant starter. And I don't know if he was actually in the military or if he just acted like he was in the military, but he was insane with it. And he would make us sign our names at like the starting thing. And he would like look at our signatures as if he was somehow going to like verify that if they were real signatures, or I don't even know why he would even need to do something like that.
Is it Mainland?
Yeah. There was not Mainland. It was, I think it was Skipback. No. And like I was always like kind of just go with the flow kind of dude, but my buddy who I always golfed with, Scuba Steve, he's a little adverse to authority, and if he feels like he's getting bullied or pushed upon, he is going to resist. And good man, he and that guy always went at it. They were always at each other's throats. Anyway, but my point is I'm always wondering, like, why are they so strict about this? Are people really just walking up here and trying to like speak on? Now, that being said, we actually did do that at some other courses where you start on the second hole or the third hole.
Oh, Jesus.
And this is why they need the starter.
Yeah.
No, I never had any experience like that. You had to pay like right where I was standing. The only time that I had an issue was someone didn't want to wait the allotted time. Like I would usually give like 15 minutes in between people going out. Just so
let them hit their hole.
Yeah. So someone's not breathing down your neck. The only time I ever had to do that was I should say kids were trying to tee off, and I kept telling them, I was like, guys, like 5 more minutes. They walked up, they set up their balls. The one kid hit a ball, so I just casually walked up and just stood on the tee in front of them until the time was done. I was like, all right, guys, now you can go.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Have fun. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, like why'd you have to rush to nail the person in the cart in front of you? Christ.
Right.
You should have let the people behind them go right away. So that would have been great. That's how I would have done that. I would have been like, fuck.
Yeah.
Hey, wanna not wait? See what happens when you don't wait, you little bastards.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of room for contention in golf. There, the people in front of you, the people behind you, riding up your ass. The ultimate insult is to not put the flag back after you're done. Leave the flag down, move on to the next hole. I mean, that's a declaration of war as far as I'm concerned.
For sure. That's like a hell-worthy trespass. If you don't put the flag back, I guess the pin, I don't know what the fuck they call it.
Yeah,
the
the
flag.
pin. Yeah.
Yeah. You're fucking, oh my God. There's a place reserved for you in hell for that, man. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't even play golf that much. And last time I did play, I cheated and I was smoking cigarettes and drinking booze the whole time. But even I know you don't not put the flag back. But I did learn a couple things, like you can't walk across someone's lie, and you don't want to start singing Outcast while they're taking a swing, things like that. Small things.
Sure, yeah, pretty standard stuff.
Traditional. I mean, that centuries-old, rules of the game.
Yeah.
The game. Now, Polatski, did your course? Did it have the snack cart with the girls driving around?
Ooh, I think to me that's one of the. Okay, so I have a thing. It's a Rita's Water Ice theory, where Rita's Water Ice only hires good-looking chicks.
Mhm.
Because one, you don't want your ice cream served to you by some sweaty, hairy, old 40-year-old man asking, "Hey, you want some sprinkles on that cone, huh, buddy?" Like I bet you sell more sweet cream with a good-looking chick.
Get a bunch of arm hairs in your.
Yeah. So I feel the same thing applies to like the snack cart girl for a golf course. Would you agree, Polatski?
Oh, 100%.
Love it. And they loved you, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah. They were only there on the weekends, which was fine with me. But they were all cute. And they were working for tips, so it makes sense. You want a cute girl out there just giving you CLs and MLs and
BLs.
Continuing on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that those some courses had them, some courses didn't have them. The ones that had them, usually they would have a real nice setup. Like the cart itself would have a bunch of coolers. They would sometimes sell hot dogs out of them. For the life of me, if I owned a golf course, and this may happen one day. No, I'm just kidding. I won't ever own a golf course. But maybe. My cart people will have basically a moving restaurant on their cart. When I would golf, I would always golf with my buddy Steve, and then my oldest brother, Jack. And now those two just golf together. They've cut out the middleman, and they golf together. Sure. My brother Jack, I mean, there's no telling how much money this guy has spent on snacks at the golf cart or at the middle, the ninth hole snack stand. Places should be racking up. That's where people should be spending most of their golf money, is drunkenly buying more expensive beer at the ninth hole or beyond.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree. I think too. Plus, what comes to my mind, imagine if you just had like a taco stand on that thing or something like that. Like you could be just shelling out the cash. Yeah, but I agree. And plus, if you made it more of if you made it more of a casual thing where the ninth hole, like, look, you're going to shoot the first 9, right? Then you're going to have a little lunch and then the back 9 after lunch. You know what I mean? And made instead of it being like a ninth hole snack bar, it was like a ninth hole cafe where you would have a restaurant and do your thing and then go back out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they do that, but to me that seems like it would be a freaking
no doubt.
Winner chicken. Yeah, but selling beer on the golf course, that's the number one thing. So, all right, so let's keep it moving. You're a golf course starter. After that, you started your freshman year in college, and you were a server at a diner in East Stroudsburg. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, and how'd that go for you? First time in the service industry?
Yeah, it went as poorly as you can expect.
Serving and bartending is not for everybody, especially if you're someone who's can't I would say, Polatski, you're a quick-witted fella, and if someone gives you a little snap, you're gonna give them some snap right back, as you should. But when you're working for tips, giving people snap right back doesn't always work. You know what I'm saying? So, how long were you a server at as a freshman?
A week and a half.
Oh boy. And then were you fired?
I was.
And why was that?
Well, I was. It was 4th of July weekend, and I just started there. I actually came home to the Valley for the festivities, and I get a call on July 3rd when I'm already. It's like 10 o'clock at night. I'm already up at my buddy's house having a good time, seeing people that I haven't seen all year. And they called me and said, "Hey, you have to come in tomorrow at 10 o'clock."
Jesus.
And I said, "Well, I wasn't." Yeah, I said I wasn't scheduled. I lied. I'm like an hour. I'm an hour and a half away. And they were like, "Well, if you don't come in tomorrow, don't come back in." It was like, okay, this is great.
That's a real shit move too. Like you've been working there a week and they're already dumping this on you, like with no like pre thing, right? Like they didn't say like, "Hey man, we might need you on July 4th, so just be ready," you know. And then 2 hours, less than 24 hours before your shift starts, they say, "Hey, you have to come in or you're fired." That's just poor.
Yeah, it was a real shitbag move. So
yeah, is that restaurant still there?
no, it burned to the ground.
Oh boy.
Surprise! That's what happens when people. Yeah. So okay, so you got done with that.
Let me ask this question: What kind of diner are we talking about? Like standard, weird, like metal wall diner thing going on? Like, is it like a traditional looking diner?
It was a converted train station,
like a gimmicky diner.
Yeah, it was really gimmicky. Think of the murals on the walls of Parks and Recreation, but they weren't trying to be funny.
I love it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great reference. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Was it good food? Yeah. Like, was it a place that you held near and dear, and then it was soiled from this working experience, or did you not really give a crap about it anyway?
Oh, I couldn't have cared less.
Okay. Well, that's better.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So I ended up enjoying the rest of my evening. Driving back to East Stroudsburg.
Sure.
And when I got there, they wanted to test me a little bit, so they gave me one table, a mother, father, and 2 children, and then like a 12 top came in, and I was getting help from the other servers, but they just wanted to like see how it would do with like taking all the orders and everything. So my first table, the mother, father, and 2 children, got a little bit irritated when I didn't drop off their marinara sauce. I know. A sin that could never be remedied.
Yep.
So one of the servers tells me about it, and I walk over and I give this woman the marinara sauce. She then goes off on me about how I'm incompetent.
Oh.
How obviously I'm a college student, but how would anybody like me ever be able to get into college?
Oh my God. This bitch can go to hell. Who the fuck did who raised you that you can be that rude to a complete stranger for some fucking marinara sauce? Wow.
Marinara. Right.
Like, hey, wait a sec. You can still eat your mozzarella sticks, you fucking asshole. That makes me so I hate that shit.
Well, Maddie, I ended up telling her that. I looked at her mouse of a husband.
Yeah.
And I just looked at him and I just simply said, "Are you going to let her fucking talk to me like that?" And she drops her spoon, starts screaming at me. The kids are aghast.
My
husband doesn't know where to look. So at one point, I just simply said to her, "Well, if you weren't acting like a bitch, maybe I wouldn't have said that." At this point, she's standing up from the table, screaming for the manager. I simply walked to the drink station. I took off my apron, walked out to the front, and the manager came out and was like, "Well, you're fired, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I know. I'm fired."
Dude, that's great. You know how many servers out there wish they could do that? Wish they could be like, really? Fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, there's 1.5 million times that I've prayed that I could have, like, that's what I love about Grams, is that I can say that, and I fucking do. But like when you're working at like I wouldn't say Vinny T's is higher end, but like a more reputable place and stuff, and Christopher's and Wayne, like you can't get away with saying things like that, even though you're more than justified in saying those things, because how like nothing makes me angrier. Like one thing, if you came up to the table and you were like completely rude and like all these things and bad service, I've had the worst service in the world and I still wouldn't be rude, just because I know the job. And also, I'm not a fucking asshole who would be rude to an ignorant, be ignorant to a perfect stranger. Like that is just, to me, it makes me so angry. But good. Fuck them. And you showed them, and whatever. You don't need that goddamn job anyway. So,
I mean, there are bad servers out there, though. You have to admit
there are. But people don't understand. I wish like you can go up to a table and give them your backstory, right? Like Byrne told us the story of he had to wait tables the day he put Bowie down, and Bowie was his dog that he had for God knows how many years. Great dog. And Polatski, you were a huge fan of Bowie, right? And you know. And he had to not only had to put him down, he had to put him down 2 hours away from work. So he had to put this dog down. No one would cover for him. He then had to drive 2 hours to work for 4 hours, make whatever money. Like, and if someone, obviously he's in a mood. Like, I wish he could have been like, hey, look, like, I'll get everything you need, but don't expect me to sing and dance for you today. I had to put my fucking dog down. Like, like a server can't tell that to a table. Right. And they'll never know that shit. And I know you're working for tips, but it's like, I don't know.
Maybe you could wear a tag. People wear like, hey, it's my first week. Like if you go to the cashier at the grocery store, it'll say in training or today's my first week. You should be able to put like what your baggage is for that day.
Yeah. I know you're not.
Hi, my name is Jeff, and I'm sad.
Still, to me, like that's just, I don't know. All right, so let's move on, though, because I could talk about server shit all day. So moving on. So after you were a server for a cup of coffee at the diner, no pun intended. Pun was intended. You worked in a warehouse at Bed Bath and Beyond. So technically, you were in the Beyond at Bed Bath and Beyond.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And I've never done, that's the one thing, I've said that in an episode before, never did, knock on wood, haven't had to do retail yet. Eventually when Ilvia leaves me and I have to, support a child by myself, then, I'll probably be having to work retail just to cover the child support. But, until then, I haven't. And you didn't really work retail. You were working in like stocking the shelves and in like the back of the store, right?
Yeah, I would have to do retail every once in a while. If they got slammed up front, I would have to come out on the floor.
Which probably drove you up the wall.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Interacting with people, that's a death sentence. But, all right. So, okay. So you worked at Bed Bath & Beyond. How long were you there?
I was there a little bit over a year.
So you're there for a little bit over a year. You're kind of like toiling in between school and stuff. And then you get a call from your big brother, Bernie, and he said, hey, how about you change your life? How about you move down to Philadelphia? And you say, I'm going to change my goddamn life and move down to Philadelphia. So then you move down to 20th and Fairmount to that house. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Oh, buddy, did we have some good times at that place or what?
Oh, absolutely. Best move I ever made.
Dude, I fucking loved that house. That was a blast, man. That was a fun place. Fun place.
Was that like a standard row home?
No, so it was, I believe it was a twin, but it was like a split level twin. And dude, 20th and Fairmount. So they were a block and a half away from the penitentiary there, right? Eastern State Penitentiary. Block and a half away from there, right off of Fairmount, which is like a major street that had like a couple bars going there, like like Bishop's Collar and Urban something, whatever. But and then
the Urban Saloon.
Urban Saloon. And then they had this great gyro place called Zorbo's, which was, you want a good gyro or souflacha, as the Albanians call it, go to Zorbo's. Good stuff. But there was there's a couple people that were lifers there. I think TC was, I know Byrne was, but then there was a bunch of other people that rotated through. And I was just a regular at that place, always sleeping on the couch and partying and stuff. But that was a fun house, man. And you were down there. And while you were there, your TC got you a job delivering pizzas in your magenta Mustang. Ooh, baby.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. It was
what year was the Mustang?
A 96.
A 96 Ford Mustang magenta. It was a magenta with a black racing stripe. Is that correct, Polatski?
That is correct.
Oh, baby. Was this thing a prize or was this thing a prize? Everyone that you ordered pizza from must have thought you were a 17-year-old girl.
Yeah, 100%. And then I would get out of the car with my 8-inch fro hemp necklace and sandals, and they weren't really sure where to look.
People don't know you have a Garfunkel fro, and I love it.
Yep.
So delivering pizzas, how'd you like that gig? That's a tough gig.
I liked it a lot, actually. I mean, tips were good.
Yeah.
And I liked the fact that, I mean, you kind of just fucked off and did your own thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kind of just in and out doing your thing. And I'll tell you what, like, I know +2, man, that's like, as far as like, okay. So I know a guy who came here from another country, and during the day he would work at a factory from like 5 a.m. until, let's say, like 2 or 3 p.m. And then from 4 p.m. until 11 p.m, he would deliver pizzas. So you get a lot of guys that are like immigrants trying to support their family, really can't, like, they're just trying to get by. Like, that's their second job. And it's really like, you know, it's not an easy gig, but those guys, they put in their time. You do your work as a delivery guy. I always thought, at least.
100%, especially doing it in Center City, Philly. Cab drivers became my enemy right off the bat.
They don't stop for anybody.
Well, no, and like I'm trying to fly around, stop at 3 different places, deliver the pizza or food hot.
Yeah.
And these guys are driving at 5 miles per hour, on 16th Street, looking for a fare. I just couldn't have any of it.
Yeah. How many times did you go around them, flipping them the bird, saying, "Get your ass in gear, buddy"?
I would have to say a few.
So how long did you lived at 20th and Fairmount for quite some time? Because I remember when you moved in there, it was a big to-do. We had a big old bash for you. So how long were you there?
4 years.
Oh my God. So you must have moved down there in what, 2010 maybe?
Yeah, somewhere around that range.
Maybe a little before then. But yeah, somewhere around that range. So you moved down there, we're partying, having a good time. Then after 4 years, you moved back to the Valley, back to 44, and you're living with a buddy for a couple of years in 44, and that's when you started being working as a porter at the car dealership, right?
Yes.
All right, everyone, we're going to take a little break from the action to introduce a new segment to the show. This is 90 Seconds of 90 Day Fiancé with our good friend, Party Boy Pete McCormick. Take it away, Pete.
What's up, party people? This is Party Boy Pete McCormick coming to you from the watch party, and today we're going to talk about Paul and Carini. Paul is from the U.S., and he says that he works in IT, but really he works in the electronics department from Target. And he has a little bit of separation anxiety, which explains why he brought down a hair doll of his mother. Why he has trouble finding a girl in the U.S., we will never know. He's about to meet Carini's father, who is a retired cop, and he doesn't realize that Paul is actually a convicted arsonist. Oh, a keeper in my book. Matt, I think this one's going to go the distance. Anyway, that was 90 Seconds of 90 Day Fiancé with Party Boy Pete. Back to you, boys.
All right. Well, that was 90 Seconds of 90 Day Fiancé with our good friend Party Boy Pete McCormick. Now, back to the show. So working as a porter at the car dealership. Now, very interested in this job. Reasons are, one, because the editor and producer of the Working Perspectives podcast was a former car porter at a car dealership.
Bingo.
And you are a car porter at a car dealership. So to both of you, well, I guess we'll start with you first, Polatski. What is your daily routine? So you wake up around what time?
I'm up at 7:45.
Nice.
I hop in the shower, drink a glass of orange juice, and then head to work. Be there by 8:30.
Nice. And then, so what is your attire at work? You doing jeans and a tee, or you got a button down and some khakis? What do you got?
I have to wear the it's a very large dealership. So there's like 16 different brands on this dealership. It's like
whoa.
Yeah, it's over like 7.5 acres or something like that. So I go in the morning, and what we do is we help determine what we're gonna keep and put through the pre-owned building up top. And what we're just gonna send to wholesale, and then we move the subsequent cars to different positions where they need to go.
Hold on, sorry, back it up real quick. You come in, there's hundreds, like probably thousands, like a couple thousand cars on the lot. 7 acres, you got a ton of fucking cars. So
yeah,
you got a ton of cars on the lot. So you're coming in, and right away you're like chopping the bit off at the end, saying, okay, these are some pre-owns. They're still in good condition. We can get some money for them. Let's send them up to the sales guys, see if they can whack them up on the top floor. And then there's other ones that you're separating and saying, look, we're just going to try and get some money for these, and you're shipping them off to an auction. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So how do you determine between what goes up and what goes to auction?
Depending on year, the mileage on the car, and also the condition of the car.
I see. And how do you get the cars to auction?
We have I have to talk to one of our drivers who drives up from Maryland almost literally every day, and they take 9 cars at a time.
Oh, so you have one of those like big trucks with like the cars kind of stacked on each other?
Yes.
Do you load the cars on that truck?
No, no, God, no.
Oh my God. Okay, so you hit up your drivers and be like, hey, we got 6 going to here for the auction, so come up and pick them up. And then obviously you have to track like all the numbers associated with that car, all the VINs and all that happy horse shit. And then, so are you responsible for recording like the placement of the cars?
Yeah, in the morning we determine where it's going. We put all the paperwork down with it, and then when we're sending cars to auction, I have to write down all the information on the sheets and stuff like that, and have them faxed down to the auction on usually Thursdays when we close out the list for the week.
Yeah. So do you just, as the dealership, I mean, obviously you don't know, like, obviously I don't want any specifics on the money. So say you send like 10 cars to auction. They're like, all right, you gave us 10 this time. Here's your cut. Boom. You know what I mean? Like, is that how it works? Or do they just get a cut from what they sell at the auction?
Well, it determines on what we have into the vehicle. So let's say a Pontiac Grand Am comes in, and somebody traded in their car, and we gave them $900 for it.
Okay.
If we send that car to the auction and we get, someone buys it at the auction for $1,100, then that's a net gain for us.
Right. But the auction doesn't take a piece of like, so let's say in that scenario, you get plus 200, right? So is the 200 divided between you guys and the auction, or do you guys own the auction?
They take a percentage out, but it all determines on the type of vehicle and the type of auction that you're sending it to.
I see. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and a lot of those like, and I like Matt said, I actually worked in this. I did this as well. I was a porter, and I dealt with auctions, and I dealt with everything, even like the detailing. So like at car dealerships, Polatski, I don't know if it's the same at the one that you work at, because you seem to have a giant operation going. Whereas I worked at like a family-owned private dealership, and they had a detail team. But when it came to these auction cars, they did not want their detail team working on them because they were auction cars. They don't have to get cleaned for like resale like level of cleanliness. So they would have me, like the lot guy, just like hose it down, buff it up a little bit, clean the wheels. That's a little trick for everybody out there. If you clean the wheels on your car, it'll look brand new every time. I don't know what it is. It's like a mental thing. If you just clean the tires and the rims, it won't look brand new, but it'll look a lot cleaner. And these auctions, like Mannheim is like the biggest auction around, as far as I know. There might be a bigger one, but Mannheim Auto Auction has like a gazillion locations and stuff. And they have their own detailing teams. So like you can send your beat up piece of shit car there. And if you're willing to pay them a certain percentage or whatever the cut is, they'll do the detailing for you and they'll get it off your hands. So it all just depends on how you do it. And the one thing that I always thought was cool, these managers who have to do these appraisals of cars when they go to the auction and they have to make a certain amount out of it. It's crazy because, like you said, if you trade a car in and you give up $900 to the customer to get that trade in, and then you take it to the auction, like the dude on the other end who's buying that car at the auction, they know like the approximate value. It's their job to not give you that extra $200. So it's like such a clash. Like, and it's like old school bartering, man. Like the guy that I always worked with, he was always like at the auction, standing there with other dudes just like him, being like, "Yeah, man, you're gonna love this car. I mean, I just had to get rid of it, but you're getting a deal." Like he was always saying stuff like that. Polatski, I don't know if you're in that realm at all, but I always thought that was really funny, like really entertaining to hear these guys bullshitting each other to get an extra, few bucks out of their own wallets.
Oh shit. And like they would see like a newbie and be like, "This fucking fresh meat, we're gonna eat this guy alive," right? Like just take him for all.
Yeah, and also like people who that's not like their profession, like they're there, like they're not like an everyday auction kind of dude. And I think those people maybe stick out like a sore thumb. It's a really interesting thing. I'd be interested to hear, Polatski, like what your take is on like the auction element, or if you even do you go to the auctions?
I don't. My direct manager goes to the auction.
Okay.
He my department on any given day there's probably like 300 to 350 people working at the dealership that I work at. I work in a department of 3, like my manager, me, and the guy I work with.
Yeah.
We're kind of self-contained. I do hear, as far as the auction stuff goes, I do hear it via phone when I'm in my manager's office and everything along that, because he goes to Mannheim once a week.
Oh shit! So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as far as like the polish and stuff goes, we're sending so much volume down there that I don't handle that myself. There's an auction down in Maryland where we send the majority of our cars, like the cars like under $10,000 that are like beat to hell.
Yeah.
Last week I sent 90 cars.
Jesus.
Jeez.
So that's 10 truckloads.
Yes.
So that's like 2 trips a day.
Yep.
Oh shit. Wow.
Oh yeah.
So basically it's one guy's job. If he's doing 2 trips a day to Maryland and back, like there's no way he can make it twice in a day. No way. Right? Like he couldn't go up to Maryland and back and then up to Maryland and back again in the same day, right? You had to use
no, but this specific guy, I think he owns like 3 or 4 trucks.
I see.
Overall. So he sends he comes up himself even though he's the owner, and he sends like one more guy. So there are often times where they'll both drive up together in 2 different trucks and then load 18 and then take it down.
Huh. You know what's interesting to me? That seems like like jobs creating jobs. So that guy, if he's a private guy, he's not owned by the dealership. That guy owns his own hauling company, right? So
Yes.
his job literally is to haul cars to different auctions. That's a hell of a racket. Like he probably started with one truck, then got two, then got three. Now, like, because if you're reliable, right, and you do it on time, that's probably like, that's probably half the battle, right? Like this guy's reliable. That's why you guys go with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could assume.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. This guy has been phenomenal. I mean, as I said, if I write 90 cars to go, they have to be there by Monday to be staged and all the paperwork ready. Regardless of when I finish writing them, he'll have it done by Monday.
God damn. You can't get that's the kind of shit like good on him. That's why he has a job. Good for him. That's kind of like blue collar, hardworking shit that I love to see. Like he's a man of his word. He says he gets it there by Monday. He gets it there by Monday. No questions asked. And you guys aren't on him like, dude, we need this here. Like, look, we know you'll do it. We're not going to say anything. You're good. Like that's the way it should be. Fucking so. But okay. But the key is, right, it looks to me at least like you're always trying to get cars off the lot so you can bring new cars on the lot. Is that right?
Yeah.
And are you buying at these auctions like your dealership, or are they just selling?
Depending on the time of the year, let's say the dealership itself doesn't get a lot of trades in.
Yeah.
To be able to put through the shop and then go out on the pre-owned lot. Then in that case, if the inventory is dwindling, they'll go out and they'll go to an auction like Mannheim and buy 10 cars, 15 cars.
No shit. And then they'll call their guy to come pick it up. Damn. So
Yep.
That's interesting. So to me, okay. So it'll work. It's like, say if I'm Johnny the customer, right? Johnny the customer comes into the dealership and I'm driving like let's say just like a Lincoln MKZ, right? And I come in
Yep.
and I'm like, look, Lincoln MKZ, I got to put more work into it than the car's worth. I want to trade it in and get like a nice Honda Accord or something along those lines, right? So that's where you come in. Say you guys take the trade. So you give me whatever money I would get for this car towards the new car, right? I get the new car, take it off the lot. You get the trade in. Then you would then move the trade into the shop. The shop kind of pieces it up, does whatever they need. And then you assess then it's assessed. Are you the one that assesses it or someone else assesses it?
Someone else assesses it.
So someone else assesses it and tells you, all right, Jeff Polatski, we need this car is going to be going to pre-owned. If it doesn't sell in pre-owned, then we're moving it to the auction by this time, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Nice. That's kind of cool because you always wonder, I've had to do that exact scenario that I explained. I had to do that and with those exact cars, and I had to do that. So you always wonder, like, where does the car go? Like in my mind, I'm like, obviously I know some cars, like I had a car, I had gotten in a head-on collision with I was driving a 2004 Chevy Cavalier and the car I hit was a tow truck. And let's just say it was like an electric razor going into, a buzzsaw. So the tow truck was perfectly fine, not a scratch on it, and my car got decimated. So I then took that car to, the shop, and they're like, dude, this thing, like, it's done. Like, insurance will categorize it as done. So you would just get the money for it in scrap metal. Do you deal with that too, where you're like sending cars off to the yard to get scrapped?
Every once in a while, if a car gets towed in and it just won't run, and if we can't physically get it onto the truck, then we'll just get it towed to somewhere. We have like 2 or 3 guys or 2 or 3 different locations, and they'll just take it for like, $500 or something.
Nice. All right. Good. So then you're there, like it's a regular, like, 9 to 5 kind of gimmick. You're there. You get a lunch break?
Oh yeah, half hour.
Nice. And how do they feel about you smoking bones out there?
They're pretty fine with it. I mean, most of the dealership smokes, so
Yeah. So
no one really cares.
that's one thing at my office that I've always wanted to get in on, because I see people like the smoker crew out having a smoke, and I used to smoke cigarettes, but I don't smoke anymore. But part of me wants to be like, damn, I should just go out there for a smoke and just talk to these people and get the gossip, but I never do. I never do. So
what's your winter weather situation as far as is the company giving you like a branded jacket? Because I always remember that sucking when I worked at a car dealership. Is I'd have to gear up big time for the winter. And also, do you guys move your cars for the snow, or do you let them sit?
Ooh, juicy.
So, well, yeah. So they give us gear. I have like this huge, like massive jacket. It's got like one of the inserts, nice hat, everything like that. So
nice.
I do have all of that.
Do you shit outside of work?
Not really.
Oh, all right. It's not that nice.
Just because I wear it every day from 9 to 5. So
you're like fucking sick of it. Yeah.
Well, I like to look good. I like to freshen it up a little bit when I'm out on the town.
You're a freaking model walking the catwalk, babe. Okay. Go ahead. Yep. So you get they give you some sweet merch, and then how about the snow? What's the deal?
So for the snow, depending on how much snow we get, they'll either like clump the cars together and then just plow through. But like we had a snowstorm where we got a foot recently, and the lot was a mess for a week.
Yeah.
Yep.
But so do you have to do that? So does that mean during a snowstorm, does that mean all the cars have to get cleared off, right? And then someone goes out and like shovels them out, and you move the cars you move all the cars out of one area, then a plow comes in, like cleans off a strip, then you move the cars back to where they were previously parked. Is that how it works?
Yep, it's like Jenga.
Dude, who the hell, whose job is that? Your job?
No. Thank God, no.
Dude, that seems like because I hate having to. I live in a row home, and on my street when it snows, I'm putting my damn chair out. I don't care if it's against the law. If someone takes the spot, I shovel out. I will break their neck. I will break their neck, and I'll bury them next to their dead dog.
Yeah.
I will not handling that shit. So I'll shovel out my car. I'll shovel out my wife's car. You know what I mean? I'll shovel out my in-laws' car. You know what I mean? But shoveling out your car is a pain in the ass. So I can only imagine there's hundreds and hundreds of cars on this lot. Yeah. So to have to shovel out hundreds and hundreds of cars, that is the worst. The worst. So sorry, go ahead, Shake.
I was going to say, I'm wondering do you guys hire a service to do it? Because when I did it, when I worked at a car dealership, it was an all hands on deck situation. And they would text you in the morning and say, wear your snow gear. Because like the salesmen, even, especially the salesmen, because they're the ones who are, hoping to get the cars free so they could sell them and get the commission. They would show up in their jeans, and it would be like a day of just shoveling. And it would be like a camaraderie thing where everybody comes together regardless of department, and we're all going to do this. Otherwise, the company's going to be stuck. And maybe because you guys have a bigger operation, you have maybe a better plan. Because it always seemed like there had to be a better way to do this,
That's another interesting thing. Talk about jobs creating jobs. I wonder if there's a market for obviously there's guys. I know a bunch of guys who do landscaping in the summer and then plow snow in the winter. And right. I know guys that they make good money plowing, right? Like they're doing churches and they're doing banks and stuff like that. So if you had a dealership, if you had a gimmick with a car dealership, you're like, look, we'll clean off all the cars. We'll help you move them, put them in their spots, and plow the parking lot so it looks like there's no snow here at all. We'll get that all done for you. And you know what I mean? That, I think, that would be worth a pretty penny, I'd assume, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But as far as what Shake said, though, no, they haven't figured out a better way to do it. It is an all hands on deck situation.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you got it. Yeah, you got to get the merch out there. You know what I mean? You would hate that one car that person wanted to be covered in snow, and that's a sale you don't get, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. I hear you. So, all right. So, Polatski, this has been a blast, my man. How did you like it?
I loved it. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, thanks for coming on. I would love if you would be willing to come back on as a repeat guest. Can we have you back on?
Absolutely, and I will make sure that I will have a laptop this time.
You know what we should do? You know what we should do? We should have, because I haven't invited Mike on yet, right? So I'm wondering if maybe I shouldn't, and maybe I'll just have you and Byrne on, and then do an episode with just you and Byrne. Like I think maybe that'd be a good episode. If next episode I put you and Byrne on,
Ooh.
What do you think? That sounds like have a little.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, have a little. I mean, like I want to have you on again because I want to get to the questions with you eventually. But I would love to have you both on because I think that would be a hell of a go, and we could talk a little Thrones.
Oh, absolutely.
That's one thing we didn't get into. So previously, before being a star host of an incredibly award-winning podcast like I am now, I was an expert guest on another podcast with an asshole as a host. And that podcast, I was a Game of Thrones expert guest on there. And Polatski and I are big-time throners. Big-time throners. Polatski's an even bigger throner than I am, and I consider myself a rather large throner. So we didn't really even get into the talk of it about the Fire and Blood, the dragons, the new Game of Thrones show coming out. Have you listened to Fire and Blood yet, or read Fire and Blood yet, Polatski?
I have not.
Oh, dude, I've been through it a couple times. It's really good. I'm excited. It sucks though, so it's actually kind of good in a way because where they left it is they leave it before a Dance of Dragons. So the Dance of Dragons is there's a civil war in House Targaryen. So the Targaryen dynasty lasted about 300 years. About 150 years into the dynasty, they had a civil war where there's two factions in House Targaryen that went at each other. So like you saw in Game of Thrones, there was one army that had a dragon that dominated. Without question, one army had a dragon and dominated. Imagine two armies that both have a ton of dragons, like 10 on each side, So imagine we're gonna get some nice dragon on dragon going there. So, but the Dance of Dragons, they don't even get to that. They kind of stop the book there. That's like the halfway point. But so yeah, and then the end of Fire and Blood 2 would end with Robert's Rebellion, which would be incredible. So okay, so enough Thrones talk. We've come to the top of time, and Polatski, man, thank you so much for coming on. You were a great guest, and thanks for working with us to get through all this stuff.
Yeah,
we loved having you, and we're definitely going to have you back on.
Yeah, please come back.
Yeah, so before we go, I just want to say thanks to Polatski for coming on.
Jake Lavelle, thanks for having me, guys.
You got it, pal. So just remember, this is the Working Perspectives Podcast. You can find us on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. We're also on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast. And you can follow us on Twitter at Working P Pod. And if you would like to be a guest on the show to go through the approval process to be a guest, submit your request to us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. All right, this is the end of the show, so turn it the hell off. Bye. Do you have a message or a story inside of you that you've been waiting to tell? Have you always dreamed of writing a book, but are intimidated by the complexities of the book publishing world? Perhaps you want to use a book to launch your public speaking or consulting career. If so, please reach out to Scott & Bell Publishing, located right here in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Scott & Bell Publishing handle all genres and authors with all experience levels. Scott & Bell Publishing gives authors 100% creative freedom and a higher royalty split. They can be found at www.skotbell.com. That's www.S as in Sam, K as in Kite, O as in October, T as in Tom, B as in boy, E as in Edward, L as in Larry, L as in Larry.com. That's Scott and Bell Publishing, where the authors go.